Red Bull just did something in Bahrain that should scare every single team on the grid. They completed over 400 laps. They hit 344 kilometers per hour. They showed almost zero tire degradation. And they never even turned the engine up to full power. Let that sink in. Telemetry suggests Verstappen was lifting in fast corners. Energy deployment never clipped. The brand new Ford power unit ran flawlessly for 3 straight days. And rivals are already admitting Red Bull looks like the reference. This was not a flashy test. It was controlled domination. Quiet. Clinical. Almost calculated. If this is their baseline, the rest of the field is already chasing. And if they were hiding pace, the real RB22 might be even faster than what we saw. Stay with me, because once you see the full Bahrain data breakdown, you will understand why this season could be decided before the first race even begins. Day 1 in Bahrain did not look dramatic. There were no wild spins. No red flags caused by Red Bull. No desperate overnight rebuilds. Instead, there was something far more dangerous. Control. From the very first session, the RB22 went straight into long runs. Not short bursts. Not headline-chasing laps. Long, structured programs. 136 laps on the opening day alone. That is not a team searching for answers. That is a team validating performance. And they kept that rhythm for all 3 days. By the end of the test, the RB22 had completed more than 400 laps. While others were troubleshooting balance or cooling, Red Bull were refining. Fine-tuning. Polishing details. That difference in approach is everything. Because in preseason testing, the team that fixes problems looks busy. The team that has no problems looks calm. Red Bull looked calm. But here is where the data starts to speak louder than the visuals. Onboard footage showed something unusual. Verstappen was not fighting the car. No aggressive mid-corner corrections. No visible instability on throttle. The RB22 looked planted. Predictable. Almost effortless. And when a Formula 1 car looks effortless, it usually means the driver is operating well below its true limit. Now consider the top speed. 344 kilometers per hour. Fastest of the entire test. But what makes that number shocking is not the speed itself. It is how they achieved it. The sidepod cannon exit design appears to direct airflow toward the rear beam wing and diffuser. That energizes airflow at low speed. It creates downforce without adding drag. Which explains how they can be the fastest on the straight without sacrificing traction in slow corners. That balance is rare. High top speed usually comes with instability. The RB22 showed neither. Then comes the hybrid system. While other teams experienced visible clipping at the end of long straights, the Red Bull continued deploying energy deeper into braking zones. Verstappen completed multiple 10-lap sequences with consistent deployment behavior. No sudden drop-off. No emergency lift and coast laps. That level of energy efficiency in a new regulation cycle is alarming. Because in this era, whoever controls deployment controls overtaking. Controls defense. Controls race tempo. And the Ford power unit. The supposed weak link. It ran the entire test without triggering a single red flag. Not one reliability scare. Christian Horner praised the integration. Helmut Marko quietly admitted fuel consumption figures were better than expected. Better fuel efficiency means lighter race starts. Lighter means faster off the line. And that compounds over a full race distance. But perhaps the most brutal statistic came from the long runs. On race simulations, Ferrari began losing roughly half a second per lap after 8 laps on the medium compound. Verstappen maintained his lap times within a tenth up to lap 15. That is not small. That is dominance over a stint. And here is the twist. Telemetry analysis suggests Verstappen was lifting in high-speed corners during his quicker laps. Estimates inside the paddock suggest up to 0.8 of a second may still be hidden. They never activated their full qualifying engine mode during testing. Which means what we saw might not even represent their true qualifying pace. So the real question is no longer whether Red Bull is quick. That part seems clear. The real question is how much faster the RB22 becomes when they finally stop hiding. Because if Bahrain was the quiet introduction, the first race could reveal something far more decisive. And once that gap becomes visible under real pressure, catching up becomes exponentially harder. But here is where the Bahrain picture becomes even more uncomfortable for the rest of the grid. Because raw pace is only half the story. The real weapon might be platform stability. Look closely at how the RB22 behaved over long runs. There was no bouncing. No aggressive porpoising over the bumps. No visible ride height corrections between sessions. Compared to last season's early balance concerns, this car has clearly been born in a much more mature state. That matters more than people realize. When a car starts the year with correlation issues, development slows. Engineers chase data. Drivers lose confidence. But when a platform is stable from day one, updates become additive. You are building performance, not repairing flaws. And that is exactly what Red Bull appear to be doing. Now let's talk about psychology. During the 3 days, Red Bull never looked rushed. Garage doors open. Car ready on time. No frantic body language on the pit wall. Even when rivals posted quicker single laps late in the afternoon sessions, there was no visible reaction. That tells you something powerful. They were not chasing lap times. They were following a plan. And in Formula One, the team following a clear plan is usually the team ahead. But there is another layer. Fuel consumption. Helmut Marko admitted that the Ford power unit is delivering better efficiency than expected. That might sound small. It is not. Better efficiency allows strategic freedom. You can start lighter. Or run more aggressive engine modes during key race phases. You gain flexibility in safety car situations. Over a season, that advantage compounds. And then there is the so-called sandbagging narrative. Telemetry analysis showed Verstappen lifting significantly in high-speed corners during his quicker runs. That suggests they were not extracting maximum aerodynamic load. Estimates suggest as much as 0.8 of a second may still be hidden. 0.8 in modern Formula One is enormous. It is not marginal. It is decisive. And remember, they never engaged the most aggressive qualifying engine mode throughout the test. So the RB22's true one-lap pace remains unknown. Now combine all of this. High mileage. Zero reliability issues. Superior energy deployment with no visible clipping. Minimal tire degradation across long runs. Highest top speed of the test. Possible hidden qualifying mode. That is not just a good test. That is a warning shot. And here is the most telling detail. Rival team principals are already acknowledging Red Bull as the reference. When your competitors publicly call you the benchmark before race 1, the psychological battle has already begun. Because now the pressure shifts. Everyone else is reacting. Red Bull is refining. So the question becomes simple. If this was only preseason, how much more performance appears when qualifying mode is finally unlocked under real race conditions? And if that rumored floor upgrade exists, waiting for race 1, the gap could stretch even further. Bahrain may not have crowned a champion, but it may have revealed the direction of the season. Quietly, clinically, and perhaps decisively. And now we arrive at the part that could define the entire season. Because dominance in testing is one thing. Translating that into race control is something else. But if we analyze everything that happened across those 3 days, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Red Bull were not experimenting. They were rehearsing. Look at the structure of their long runs. Fuel loads consistent. Energy deployment consistent. Lap time variance incredibly tight. That suggests they were simulating real race conditions, not chasing theoretical numbers. And when a team can simulate a full race distance without performance drop-off, confidence builds internally. But here is the deeper layer. Tire degradation. Ferrari showed visible drop after 8 laps in race simulations. Red Bull extended competitive pace significantly longer. That kind of tire control changes race strategy entirely. It means they can dictate when the first pit stop happens. They can force rivals into an early undercut attempt, or stretch the stint and attack later when others are fading. Control of degradation equals control of tempo. And tempo wins championships. Now add energy efficiency. Other teams showed signs of clipping at the end of straights. The RB22 did not. That means Verstappen can defend without immediately sacrificing the next straight. He can attack without draining reserves. He can pressure opponents lap after lap. And that compounds. Because when the car behind you cannot deploy as long, overtaking becomes harder. Psychological pressure increases. Mistakes happen. And Verstappen is ruthless when mistakes appear. Then consider reliability. 400 laps. No engine failures. In a brand new regulatory cycle. With a brand new engine partner. That is not normal. That is preparation at the highest level. Most teams expect early season hiccups. Red Bull appear to have avoided them entirely. Which means development resources can focus purely on performance gains, not problem solving.